Welcome to TIA Talks. My name is Jason, your host, and the new season of The Insurance Apprentice has been quite exciting, and we've already had 2 eliminations. And with me today, I've got the eliminated and the eliminator. We've got Gugu and Clement. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Gugu, you've been around for a little while.
Yeah.
We had you on the last season of TIA Talks.
Yes.
So thank you so much for being a recurring guest on my show.
Thank you.
It's always nice getting some top dogs in on the guest list. So appreciate it. And you're looking as lovely as always.
Thank you.
Gugu, for those of the audience that don't know who you are, maybe give us a little bit of insight on who you are, what you do. And I know you're from INSETA, so you can maybe just explain what INSETA does.
All right, sure. Thank you so much for having me again, Jason. My name is Gugu Mkhize, and I'm the CEO of the Insurance Sector Education and Training Authority, which is an authority responsible for skills development for the whole industry. We do this through a number of interventions, including research, qualification development, as well as implementation of the qualifications. And we also fund programs that we implement, whether it's occupational qualifications, bursaries, as well as skills programs for the professionals in the industry.
Excellent. And I think I want to just mention INSETA has a massive role, not only in TIA this season, because you guys obviously sponsored the last episode,
Yeah.
but also just in general, because you are a SETA in insurance.
Yes.
And I know that in my office, we've had probably a handful of staff that have already gone through an INSETA program, skills development, qualifications, and they are fully fledged representatives in my business. So thank you, INSETA, because I honestly think that it gave them a great grounding and also the background and foundation to actually build their career in insurance.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Gugu. You might not know them
Yes.
personally, but I know that they are grateful. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. Clement,
That's great.
welcome. Clement, who are you? And for your last 5 minutes of fame, I'd love to actually just let the viewers know who you are and what you do.
Clement, yes, they eliminated. But no, man, seriously. Clement is a litigation specialist by trade, currently applying my trade at Hollard. So I deal with the motor liability litigation space in R&L. So every summons that comes through from a motor collision, crash bash, and so on, it gets hit my desk. So I service the entire liability portfolio. Been with Hollard for 3 years now, enjoying it. And yeah, by qualification, I'm an attorney. Studying LLB at UJ. I'm admitted attorney at that. But yeah, new in the industry, enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's who I am.
Where were you before you joined the insurance industry?
Before I joined the insurance industry,
Just studying as attorneys do, I think.
not quite. So I was actually in practice.
Okay.
I was in practice for 10 years before joining the insurance industry. So there was a period wherein I had my own firm. There's a period wherein I actually applied myself at another firm. Enjoyed practice very much. We had the whole COVID interruption and so on. So you had to grow up very quickly.
Yeah.
The small business at the time. And then I looked to insurance because I was looking for better opportunities, certainty and opportunity. And I'm sure we'll talk about that as this interview goes. But yeah.
Was it your own business before COVID, or were you in a practice?
It was my own business. So
Sure.
in 2017, I took the leap, decided to start my own business. I ran a predominantly litigious firm. So we went to court every day. So around 2020, 2021, decided to go back into practice. So there's a saying that I used to like at the time, saying that sometimes owning your own business doesn't mean you have a better deal. You know,
Yeah.
you might own a business, but you're owning your own mess and so on. So what I decided to do was to try and apply myself at a larger platform, larger scale. And that's why I went into insurance. Went there to actually find better opportunities. I'm coming through with the critical skill, I believe, of an LLB. And yeah, the sky's been the limit ever since.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. A critical skill or qualification. I think the basis of every insurance policy is a contract between the insurer and the individual taking up the insurance. And generally, the wordings are all obviously written up by attorneys. And I know the legal side to insurance is quite a big part of insurance. you've mentioned, so obviously that's all contract work and all those things. You're seeing more of the litigation. So in court, the back and forth between the client and the insurer, the recoveries, all of those type of things happen through you. Have you seen that? I mean, I'm just wanting to touch on the qualification itself, because I don't know a lot of qualified attorneys in the insurance industry. You are one of them. And I'm pretty sure that there are so many. So, I mean, in Hollard specifically, that department, is it a big department? What's the vibe in the legal side?
In my department, recoveries and liabilities, maybe I speak under correction, but I think we're about 62
Sure.
personnel strong.
Yeah. Wow.
Divided between front office, back office, as well as the litigation space. So basically, it's like a well-oiled machine. We capture the matter, we try and negotiate the matter, but if we can't settle those claims, the matter evidently has to go to litigation. So that when it comes to my space, I then have an overview of the matter. If we decide that, you know what, the prospects of success of either defending or recovering the matter are quite great, I will then have a panel of attorneys on my panel, to which I would have a good relationship with them. I'd run the matter past them. If everybody's in concert, we then proceed either with the defense.
He's even using words, eh?
Yeah.
The legal words, even if they're in concert. Okay, cool.
We either defend or recover.
Yeah.
But because it's as you say, you don't know a lot of attorneys within the space, so it's quite a small space. We all know or are familiar with one another. So you might find that one employer might have a relationship with another, like in one insurance house with another. We may settle matters in bulk, or we may. You understand what I mean? So it's a healthy space to be at.
So it's actually quite appropriate that you were the one that was eliminated in this last show, because the last episode was it was purely around the building of skills and giving the foundation and showing the whole world, actually the whole nation, that the insurance industry has so many opportunities available. I mean, you're a legal dude in insurance, actually. You had your own business, you've come out of that, and you've actually started something within Hollard. And I think that speaks volumes to the opportunities in the industry. Gugu, on the INSETA side,
Yes.
do you see many other industries and many other candidates coming through the INSETA programs?
It's interesting that Clement tells his story about being a lawyer and finding himself in the industry. So some couple of years ago, we actually came up with a program called Insurance Sector Student Fund, which is basically a fund that focuses on funding bursaries for professionals within the value chain in the insurance industry.
Oh, wow.
I'm talking about all qualifications, including the technical insurance qualification, your actuarial program, risk management, and also lawyers, doctors, etc. So it's been running now for a couple of years, where we get a co-funding portion. So stakeholders contribute, and then we contribute a portion to that. And I think one of the prizes that we had offered was a funding opportunity for one of the winners. So what I'm trying to get at is that yes, there are specific insurance technical qualifications, but the industry in itself requires a lot of other skills which are within the value chain. I'm talking marketing, HR, legal, and finance. So all of those is a meshing pot within the insurance industry. So on our side, we do have a top 10 scarce and critical skills list, which we focus on from a funding perspective, and we call it pivotal programs, where we fund almost 80% of our funding goes towards that for unemployed youth. But over and above that, this fund is an important instrument in allowing other qualifications or other people who want to pursue different qualifications from the technical insurance qualifications.
So is that like a bridging kind of qualification that you would do? So if Clement had to go to INSETA as a lawyer and say, I would like to join the insurance industry, what kind of direction can I take? What does INSETA do in that instance?
So we fund bursaries.
Okay.
So it will be full qualification. So we fund you for a period of 3 years or 4 years,
Oh,
depending
okay.
on how long.
So it's
the
not just a
program
bridging
is.
thing. It's actually
It's full
it.
qualifications
Okay.
that we fund. But what the fund does, it allows us to open up the opportunities even for those who are not in the insurance industry to then get the funding. Yes.
I must actually mention that I got my funding from INSETA.
Oh,
for
interesting.
my postgraduate diploma in financial planning. So I had a BCom in economics and econometrics. Still do have it. I didn't lose it, but I obtained one. And then when I finished that, I actually left the like I didn't go into finance at all or anything like that. I taught for 2 years, grade 8 to 9 maths. You don't have to go down that road, I can tell you. But that taught me a lot at that point. And then I actually wanted to join the insurance industry, found a brokerage, got into the insurance industry. And when I was there, I saw the opportunity to become a financial planner, over and above being a short-term broker.
Yes.
And my BCom actually gave me a lot of my credits that I needed to actually pursue further kind of changes in my career and other qualifications through the likes of INSETA. So I actually did my postgrad through the INSETA bursary that I received. So thank you, INSETA. You just reminded me. So thanks, Gugu. Clement, your journey from just your practice through into being in insurance and now actually being on the insurance apprentice. I want to speak about the apprentice side of it. You know, you joined probably with a couple of people in the top 10 that are in the space. They're actually doing insurance, the underwriters, the claims, the brokers. How did you find the competitors and also just the level of competition? And did you feel like you actually fitted in that top 10?
The top 10, look, from the outset, the level of competition is quite high. Just being in the top 10 was a privilege. And we all come from different walks within our profession, right? As you said, there's a doctor, there's a lawyer, there's an actuarial scientist, there's people in management in positions that I've never even heard of. So the level of competition was quite, I was taken aback by it, but I actually learned a lot from each and every competitor, if I could say that. So what the insurance apprentices have done for me is to take me out of my comfort zone. So what's happening is that I needed to be a more well-rounded person in terms of how to have a further reach in terms of my offering. And I could not have gotten that from the insurance apprentice. Look at it this way. If I want to be a leader or manager of people within my own employ, I need to be able to deal with certain characters towards a particular positive goal. There's a lot of spanners in the works there. But at the end of the day, we had to put a product together.
A lot of personality.
Yes.
Were you the leader of your team?
No, I was not the leader of my team. I don't think we elected a leader in this particular episode.
Okay.
If I remember. But no,
Okay.
I was not necessarily the leader in this episode. So as I was saying, if I learn to work with different personalities, it only puts me in great stead in terms of what I take back to my workspace. So
But also the competition itself. You could be. He is in the top 10 from hundreds of people that entered. So I think the competition itself, it's the cream of the crop, and for him to be in the top 10, you must be very proud of yourself because it's not easy to just be selected in this competition. Yes,
says the one that kicked him off the show.
No ways, it's not me.
Okay, so Gugu, before we even get into that, how about we just quickly go through Clement's video, because I wanted to share just one of your outtakes from the episode, and we'll actually react to that.
What jumps out to me immediately is insurance underwriting. If you go into insurance, starting out with underwriting gives you the opportunity to be a successful attorney within insurance, a successful accountant within insurance. So I've had career setbacks, as you would expect. With me, it was quite unique in the sense that when COVID struck, at the time I was an owner of a business. I was running a law firm. COVID actually was a big obstacle in shaping my career. Had it not been for COVID, I would not be here. It was an obstacle back then, but a blessing in disguise. He realized immediately that Josh is very good at absorbing information. He's quite a phenomenal young man. He very much participated in the team as much as any other team member. Our structure actually addresses the brief while storytelling that's woven into it.
So we're telling the story through the video, through our presentation, by attacking the brief. We're speaking to the youth, but also remember the youth also, that's half the equation. It also encloses the unemployed youth, a story there as well. Your greetings, we are the J-Force team, and this is our offering. We didn't expect Simon to give Josh that power over us. We were taken aback by that. To me, it sounded more like he didn't think that we undervalued him. We valued his insight, and by treating him with respect and listening to him, we were able to hit what we believe to be the nail of the mark. I think we left it out there, man. We did the best that we can with the brief. Yeah, let's see how things go.
I knew that we didn't hit the mark in the presentation, and I knew we could have stood up there for elimination, anyone. But I never thought it would be Clement next to me.
When they announced that our team lost in today's task, that's when I knew that, you know what, I might be in trouble here. Because obviously I was the team leader of the task at hand today.
The next person leaving the competition right now is Clement. You're dismissed.
So I guess the captain goes down with the ship. Let's fuck that obviously. I won't get the opportunity to win the prize money, but I'm content. I'm good. I'm feeling okay. This was a really eye-opener. Thank you for the opportunity. I wish everybody good fortune, and hopefully the show would continue to be as entertaining as I've been entertained in my time here.
No, it's Clement and Jordan. And I was literally in like all my groups. I was always with either one of them.
Okay, so Clement, we found out that you were the team leader. Number one. Okay, so you were the leader. And for me, when I saw the episode, I felt that it was kind of the reason why you were probably in the bottom two. Because of being the leader, generally there's a bit of a limelight shone on you to take your team to the next task, you know. Knowing that though, leadership aside, how did you find just, I mentioned just you being part of the group and not being in an insurance role, being in a legal role. So how did you find that background helping you in the show? You learned a lot from other people, definitely, but did you see that there was, that you were still on par with everybody else?
Yes, I'm quite confident in my ability. So yes, I'm not from a traditional insurance space background, but I felt that I could draw certain transferable skills within my practice into the show, into certain spaces with my team members. So for example, in terms of structuring a presentation, having an opener, bringing a middle and a conclusion, that's where I'm most strong at in terms of a structure. Timekeeping. Our presentations really ran over time and so on. So I thought I could use those particular skills in my presentation, in the structure and so on. So I felt pretty much at home, but at the same time I was alive to the fact that I'm actually learning as the competition goes.
I did find, I mean, we saw the upset people on the show, and we saw a bunch of people surprised that you and was it Jordan were in the bottom two for that episode. Simon did mention that it was very tight, so it was a very close call, the fact that there were two, and all the scores probably were pretty similar. Just because you got 0.1 less than maybe the other 7, you know, it could have mean why you were there. I want to speak on you and Jordan before we even get into the task and what you would need, Gugu, because I just want to kind of get a feel for behind the scenes. What is the vibe behind the scenes with this group? And specifically, they mentioned you and Jordan being quite strong. Do you think that you were in the running to win the competition up until that point? And do you think Jordan is there and he's going to be one of the top competitors?
Just to start off with your last point, did I think that at any point I could have the capacity to win this? Yes, I'm not going to lie. I mean, if I'm already in it, I'm in the top 10, top 9 even. If you don't think you're going to win, you shouldn't be there. You're wasting space for the person that actually left. So I actually thought I have a good shot at it. I was hoping to apply myself at technical tasks, more insurance based and so on, I knew that I had to be ready for this particular task.
Because it was a bells and whistles one.
Yeah.
It was like a frilly one. It was very like social.
So social.
Yeah.
And that's something I need to work on in terms of my arsenal as well. But this particular task was the one that actually worried me the most, because this is where I would need to evolve as a person. I need to be able to apply myself in spaces that I don't need to frequent. But to take it back to the equation between Jordan and I, look, there's a mutual respect. I've been with Jordan, I think, in the same group since top 50, top 20.
Sure.
We've worked well together. We've had conversations. We've seen each other work.
Which helps a lot. I think as soon as you're in the same group, if you know the person in your group and you've worked with them before, it makes life a lot easier.
It really does.
Yeah.
I believe it was the top 50 or top 20 wherein we had the best presentation of the day. So I know him from previous episodes or sessions or presentation and so on. So I'm very comfortable with Jordan. In fact, when I left, I actually said to him, listen, he knows this. We actually had a head-to-head saying, listen, if I don't win it, you win it. If I leave, you
better win it.
You better go and win it. So it was, I don't know what it was. We find ourselves in the bottom two. As fate would have it, we've had that conversation just recently. So you would have seen when I left, I was actually disappointed rather than being hurt. But if I was going to leave, Jordan better go and actually win it.
Yeah, I think everybody is a strong competitor. And this season, I'm struggling to find my favorite. It's almost like the people behind the scenes have really chosen or made their lives a lot more difficult. The judges have made their lives a lot more difficult just by putting this group together, because not taking away from the previous seasons or anything, I just feel that the level of competition is a bit different. I wouldn't necessarily... I think the show's taken it to another level, especially with the different things that are happening in each episode, where it creates an additional kind of point to think about, and it kind of ruffles some feathers. And I think that's where we'll touch on the task, Gugu, because the task I found was firstly very simple. It was a simple task to, the brief was simple. The execution of that is the difficult part. So I think let's bring up the task brief, and we'll just jump into that. So the audience this is specifically around future talent. And INSETA, I'll actually read this for you, okay, Gugu? Because I know you didn't bring your glasses, okay? So your audience is young people aged 18 to 25 exploring future careers. Together with your 19-year-old teammate, convince South Africa, and that teammate were the moles. Those two moles that were in your group. I love calling them moles. I don't know why. But anyway, together with your 19-year-old teammate, convince South African youth that insurers offer exciting, future-ready careers with stability, growth, and purpose. Make sure you introduce one scarce skills role and one future-focused role in the insurance industry. Firstly, Gugu, I wanted to ask, why do you think so many young people still overlook insurance as a career? Because this shows that INSETA has an issue. There's a problem. We're trying to actually show people and make it aware that there are careers available. So why do you think that people still overlook a career in insurance?
I think access to information is one of the primary challenges, especially in townships and rural areas. Insurance is understood from the perspective of medical aid, funeral, motor insurance, and not in terms of its broad offerings that it has across the different subsectors. So we have a huge responsibility, and we're taking that on as INSETA to promote careers within the insurance industry. So it was very important for us to craft a task that looks at the current critical skill and what is going to be the future skill. And I think the group that won obviously would have been the closest to what we were looking for from a brief perspective. But I think it's very important to have that alignment and share information specifically around insurance careers. Young people are on TikTok. you're not going to find them on other platforms as much as they are on TikTok. So we need to find them and locate them where they are. Majority of young people also have phones, whether they are in a rural area or urban area. It might be an issue of connectivity in some instances, but we are finding that access to information around insurance carriers and the myth around what insurance is about is what we need to break those walls so that they can be able to see that there's a future in the insurance industry.
Sure. And are INSETA actually pushing the campaigns that you've asked for actually in this show? Because I've seen your video was pretty decent. The other team's video was also pretty good. I liked the TikTok-y short video style that came out from the moles that were in the task, and the way that you guys included them was actually quite refreshing. That for me was a pat on the back to the show, to TIA, because it showed that it wasn't asked of you to do that. And I noticed that it was, I think, Karabo in your group. She was I think she was in your group. She was in the other group. She really pushed the agenda to make them feel included. And I felt like the teams gathered around these kids. And I'm going to say kids because they were youngsters in this show, the moles. And they really seemed to be comfortable to they could voice their opinions. So well done firstly to the teams. I must say that watching it, I had a smile on my face seeing the inclusion of these youngsters and actually trying to figure out what they needed and what they wanted. Because the interesting one was that there's a target market here. And Gugu, I don't know how old you are, but I think you're over 25. And the other judges too. Simon, we know, is over 25. Knox, it's questionable. So we know that the target market wasn't on the judging panel. No. So I picked up that there was one or two comments from the judges that they felt one of the videos was a little bit cringy. Then I thought, but you guys aren't the target market. And I think the cringy video was actually your group's video. Yeah, so right. I'll ask you, Clement, why do you think that comment came up? And do you think that you guys did a good enough job because obviously your team lost at the end of the day. So it wasn't on the exact level as the other team. However, I think it was very close. So what is your take on the actual video and the judges' comments?
Look, hindsight is a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
So obviously, we could have done a better job. But the thing is, you take what the judges said, you try to apply it and see exactly where we went wrong. I think our strategy was to try and convince Josh into joining the insurance industry. So we invested a lot of time in education in terms of what we do, what he can do, what opportunities are there. And we left the video, the creativity in putting together the video for the last minute. If I tell you that video was shot in one go, no cuts.
Wow.
We were running out of time. We pressed play, let's put it in. But I'm quite grateful with the message that we were able to deliver to Josh himself and those like him who are watching the show. If you remember in his articulation, he stated that he was convinced. So it was a win for us in that respect to say we've managed to convince somebody to join our wonderful industry. So
I really think that you guys both did a good job. I think both teams did excellently on the task. I think it was a fun task in terms of that you could use your creativity with a bunch of guys that are sitting with their textbooks in front of them. They're sitting with their textbooks in front of them, and now all of a sudden they have to do something a little bit out there, different. And I really appreciated the way that the youngsters got involved and became the topic of the conversation, and actually the creator at the end of the day on the other side of the video. INSETA is doing obviously some of that stuff. Did you like the finished product that you got from both groups?
What is interesting is the fact that both groups focused on their primary target market, which was the moles.
The moles,
as you called them. So because we had to pick a winner, unfortunately, Clement's group had to. One of them had to go. But if you were to look at how they approached the task, both teams, I was extremely impressed by the fact that they focused on ensuring that they are convincing and selling the insurance industry to the two moles. And I think they successfully did that. So because the other part to the conversation, they could have focused on the judges, but we're not the target market, as you said.
So they read the brief and they actually got it right.
So they really got the brief right. Unfortunately, they had to come down to who did, a better job at it. But also looking at the whole TikTok thing, people invest a lot of time on lighting, on how the angles are. Better about
I try.
Yes. So I think that there would have been those few differences where we thought they didn't do as much as the other group. But all in all, very impressive that their focus was on the two molds and they executed that well.
I think that also stems to what we've been taught through our compliance as well. TCF is something that is drilled into the insurance industry and has become not just a saying anymore, treating customers fairly, but it's actually ingrained in our culture as an industry. And I think that showed in this episode, because I was sitting there and I thought, as soon as you included, my job is simple. I look at your needs and I try and cater you as an individual, catered around those needs, a solution. And I just saw that both groups, every individual was really pushing to understand the person that they were trying to sell to and sell a career to. And I just thought that I just wanted to mention it if the FSCA is watching, TCF is definitely ingrained in our culture of an industry, insurance industry. So I think well done on that side. And kudos to the rest of the top 10, because that was a soft thing that I picked up and I really just thought that was so nice. And also seeing the two moles and the experience on the show, they actually looked like they had a good time. And I'm pretty sure they enjoyed that.
They did have a good time.
Yeah.
But also, I think sometimes the most simple tasks are the most difficult to execute.
That's correct.
So we focus so much on execution and planning. So I think what was critical for the whole task was a balance between planning and execution. And I think the other team would have just gotten a
little
bit
bit
over
better.
the edge. But overall, I think the task was executed quite well.
I agree with you. I think that must have been the tipping point. The time that you mentioned, you only spent 5 minutes or the last 5 minutes on the video, really. And it teaches us a lot. I'm pretty sure the rest of your group going forward in this show is going to make sure that they manage their time in the task more effectively, because we learned that only after the first 1 or 2 episodes of actually doing tasks, because we realized that planning and strategy around the task isn't as important as the execution in front of the judges. But Gugu, I also wanted to just ask you on your personal side, how did you get into the insurance industry, and what attracted you to the insurance industry?
So my story is very interesting because I am not an insurance professional at all, but I think it was the opportunity that was presented itself around 2019 when the position for the CEO was advertised. So if you look at, there are 21 seaters and all focus on different industries. And then the insurance one for me was more attractive because I just knew that this is a niche area which is almost like a gold mine. The insurance industry is a gold mine which is untapped, where young people are not really exposed. So if I get the opportunity, I would really be able to expose them to various opportunities that are there in the insurance industry. So and over time, I understand the insurance industry so much better than from someone who is outside of the industry, and it does assist to also have different industry players, partners, and also the TIA plays a critical role in creating that awareness, keeping the momentum around insurance careers and what opportunities are available.
Yeah, and I think the careers are available. I just want to put that out there. In the insurance industry, I've seen it just in our own business. There are so many different departments. You'll know that, Clement, in Hollard, there's a ton of different departments, and most of them aren't actually in insurance. There'll be an accountant that's doing accounting. There'll be a legal dude that's not actually doing any of the insurance stuff. They're just actually writing contracts behind the scenes or sending summonses and all those things.
It's funny that you say that. Look, as much as this is the task within which I went out, I actually believed in the message that was being sold. Coming from somebody who was previously not exposed to INSETA, learning about what they do, it really moved me. If you look at my intro, I spoke about certainty and opportunity. So as you say, there's a plethora of certain jobs that people do that's got nothing to do with insurance, but they are within insurance. So to me, it sounded like a safe bet.
Yeah. I've got a mate at a very large pharmaceutical company, and he's a CA. They need CAs. You know, so I think it actually speaks to almost all the all industries out there, that there are so many opportunities. We just might not be looking for the right one. And I think this episode has shown that there are more opportunities other than just underwriters and claims or brokers out there in the insurance industry. And that was refreshing to see. There is an extensive list of different qualifications too that people can take up through INSETA. So that, I mean, just check out the website, make sure you have a look at what's available, and reach out to your employers. If you are in the insurance industry and you're at the likes of a Hollard or a Santam or one of the big insurers, there are definite programs that you can be a part of to get through the INSETA bursary programs and skills development. And we've seen it in practice. So that's a shout out to anyone who's actually looking for a change in their career and in their jobs. So I just wanted to touch on another thing, because you've moved out or into an insurance company from your own business. Do you think there's still opportunity out there in the insurance industry to start your own thing instead of just be with a big daddy provider?
Opportunities will always be there. But some of the motivations that made me leave my business to join a big daddy, as you put it, will keep me firmly rooted where I am right now. So I'm quite happy. I'm loving the challenge every day. The growth is phenomenal. I'll give you an example. They're business people who are wired differently. You might want to go open your own business, have your own footprint and so on. But trying to compete at a larger space, I might interact with clients that you don't even know exist. Do you understand what I mean? So I wanted to, I use the term on the show, test my mettle at a bigger canvas. So that's why I joined Hollard. I believe it's the best place for me to try and progress through the corporate ladder. So no, I would not go and set up my own thing. No, I wouldn't do that. I've got no interest at the particular moment. No.
I agree with you. I do think that there are opportunities in the industry to start your own thing, but it also takes a type of person to take a risk to do that. You know, and I think it's actually it's refreshing to know that there is a big daddy that looks out for their staff. Because I wanted to also mention that a lot of the employers, the top 100 employers in SA, are insurance companies, and they employ well. They look after their staff, and I think it's gone from treating customers fairly to treating your employees fairly, and I love that. And INSETA is doing the same thing, you know, bringing that into it and making sure that those staff are skilled up, because TIA is there to empower, to educate, and to elevate. And I think we can attest to it on this particular episode that INSETA and the TIA actually are doing that together. So congratulations, well done. Thank you. I think the job was well achieved. As a viewer of the show, I enjoyed this episode thoroughly because I could understand it. And my wife watched the episode too, and she understood it. And that's the biggest thing. And she's an attorney. So, I mean, she was never interested until the layman stuff starts to come out, you know, the words that actually, oh, is this what you do, Jason? You know, so I think it's really good that it's just kind of exposed a little bit extra of what's happening in the insurance industry. I just wanted to actually ask you, Clement, just to close off, and Gugu, if you guys have any mentors or people that have actually kind of pushed you in the direction of insurance and or has held your hand through your journey in the insurance industry. Gugu, I think I'll start with you, and we'll close off with the eliminated
eliminate tea.
Eliminate tea. Yeah.
Okay, so my mentor and coach is not in the insurance industry,
Okay.
but our focus is on leadership. So he's my former boss. I used to work with him many years ago. He's actually in the office, big office somewhere, so that I shall not mention. But he has really assisted in shaping my leadership journey. Continues to do so, because I think leadership cuts across whether you're in the insurance industry or outside. So that's the person who I look up to, who has assisted me in navigating some of the different roles that I've held over the past year.
Sure.
For me, I suppose your question is there somebody who's held my hand or introduced me to insurance, somebody that I look up to, a mentor, as you say. If I'm honest with you, I've met quite a number of phenomenal people, talented individuals whom have molded my path through the years. But in general, I've not identified one particular mentor that I could say that that's my mentor, that's who I look up to, and so on. I look up to a lot of people. Like a sponge, I try to absorb whatever I can. Would I want to have a mentor? Why not? But I currently don't have one. I'm just grateful for the relationships I've encountered that have built me through the years. So to isolate one particular person
It's unfair.
would be a disservice. You know, from my principal when I started, from a business partner, from my dad to an uncle who is the least qualified person in terms of qualifications, but is the most the smartest person I know, things like that. So it's very difficult to box it, but I'm grateful for all the relationships that I had.
I think it's that you've hit the nail on the head with relationships in the insurance industry or just outside of that. Building a relationship is key with anybody. I think we touched on a few soft areas, you know, like the moles, you know, the target market and all these other things. I generally do believe that building a relationship with anybody is, people sometimes tell me I'm not working, and I call it networking, but it's not how well you know them. It's not who you know, it's how well you know them, in my opinion. And it's building those relationships that you can pick up the phone and just speak to anybody, just to say, look, I'm struggling with this, or I'm doing this. What are your thoughts on this? So my take on that is actually just to have a group of people around you, if not just one, that can speak wisdom into your life and to give you guidance, and have the best interests of you at heart. I think that's important. A lot of people will have their own agendas and their own way of doing things, but we'll see a mentor is always the person that holds your hand because he's trying to take you to where you want to go, not where they want to go. So I like what you said, Clement. I love the fact that you can't actually choose one, because I'm in the same boat. You know, there have been a few mentors out there. Being a CEO, though, Gugu, I think there is definite need for coaching. And definite need for leadership, kind of mentorship happening. And I find that the business owners and the CEOs that I've interviewed on the show have all said that they actually do have one or two people that they can rely on. So that actually could be something that if anybody doesn't have a mentor, there are obviously programs for that and stuff, but it's important to find the person that you gel with and that gets you. And that actually can take you along with them, you know. It's not who you know, it's how well you know them. I've got my mentors. I won't mention them. There's a couple of them. But again, it's changed over years, you know, over the different scenarios, different ways. I mean, I would love to have a child. You know, when I have a child one day, maybe it's going to be a different kind of mentor that I'm going to have to ask some advice from, someone who has done father stuff before, you know. And then I go to my dad, who has nothing to do with insurance, you know. So there we go. I wanted to end off just with one of the things that I usually do is I just kind of ask the question of what insurance might mean to you, or we go on to an emotional rant about something. But I want to give Gugu the opportunity just to kind of let the audience know what is needed from them when it comes to INSETA, and to actually get more people involved on this journey of insurance career development. What would you say to them, and where can they find you, and exactly what can they do to be a part of this whole movement?
Yes. So the insurance opportunities or careers accessible to anyone within the obviously South Africa. We do have, I mean, they can reach us from our website, and also we are active on social media. I think we've got thousands of followers on LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram.
Okay,
We
well,
are
you guys can tag me, please.
Yes. So the access to information is there, and our website is actually a very resourceful site because it's got all the information that you need about careers, but also about requirements in the different institutions of higher learning, what opportunities are there, what points do you require if you are finishing matric or you've just completed a matric. But also, I think if they follow us on the different platforms, they would realize that we share a lot of information. We share lots of videos about also testimonials about people who are the success stories. And I liked what you said earlier about relationship building. This is an industry which creates, I'm not sure about other industries, but this creates communities.
Yeah.
So even though you might not be coming from insurance or you don't have an insurance qualification, once you get into the industry, there is a community of people that supports you and that want to see you winning. So those opportunities are available. And young people have got the opportunity to look at those, what fits in terms of their interests, their choices, and then they can choose, yes.
Awesome. I think what we'll do is in the description, we'll add a link to the INSETA website where they can have more information. And what we'll do is if there is ever anybody looking for an opportunity in insurance, then email the Insurance Apprentice and we can start putting you in touch with the right people. I think the starting point is necessary. Once we've done that, we can't get you the job, but we can point you in the right direction at least. And who knows, maybe you'll host a podcast in the next couple of years.
Yes.
Clement, I wanted to ask you one final takeaway, just on your journey in the Insurance Apprentice. The question I wanted to ask was, what advice would you give anybody that's thinking about entering, or that has entered and maybe is not wanting to enter again because they might have not done too well in the beginning, or maybe the application failed and they've gotten disheartened? There are always opportunities. So number one, what advice would you give somebody who's wanting to apply for the Insurance Apprentice? And then secondly, what is your biggest takeaway from being on the show?
Look, my advice to anybody that wants to enter the Insurance Apprentice, or even navigate or enter the insurance industry, I'd say don't miss the bus. When I think about it, there's actually more reasons to enter than not to enter. You'd be crazy, if I'm being honest. What Gugu sounds like she's talking about is like a promise. If you apply yourself, we'll meet you halfway.
Yeah.
So there's all the right things that they're saying. The opportunities are there. Enter the Insurance Apprentice. What do you have to lose? I mean, you get to rub shoulders with different people from different companies. And within that very short space of time, you get to learn what takes most people 2 years to find out exactly where do you work, what do you do, and so on. How can I get into that space? Where with the Insurance Apprentice, you can do that in a couple of minutes. So get into the space. If you've been in the show, let's say you were knocked out top 100, top 50. If you don't succeed, you try again, I believe is what the saying says. So try it. You've got nothing to lose. Like, I wish I knew about INSETA when I started becoming a man into my academia and so on. I would have used those opportunities. I probably would be much further than I am right now. So the best way to answer that question is, why not?
Why not? Yeah, that's good. And then lastly, being eliminated and still being in the industry and doing really well in the industry. What is the biggest takeaway from the show for you personally? And how's it going to affect you going forward?
The biggest takeaway for me from the show is you can never stop learning. Try being more well-rounded. Because as she said, the insurance industry is a community. So within a community, you're going to encounter different sets of problems of
Personalities.
obstacles, personalities, tasks, files that you need to deal with. So my biggest takeaway is that I'm grateful for whatever it is that the Insurance Apprentice has instilled in me to be a better, well-rounded professional. So this is what I want to take back to my day-to-day activities. Being a more well-rounded professional, it will help me have better relationships at work. It will help me be able to articulate myself to an audience that necessarily I didn't have the ear at the time, or whatever the case may be. But I'm taking away the fact that, listen, I've went into a completely space that I don't know, and I've made it to make to the top 10. I've got relationships that I would cherish with some of the contestants long after this particular season of my life is over. So yeah, I've taken a lot. I believe I've taken more from the Insurance Apprentice than it has given me. So I feel like I've cheated the show in a little bit, but yeah,
That's interesting.
Yeah, quite grateful.
That's very interesting, Clement. And also, I think it's so appropriate because a lot of us ex-contestants, the eliminated ones,
As I am as well.
welcome to the club, you know. And I often will bring up the eliminatee kind of joke. But I also just wanted to mention that your group and the competitors in the top 10 that have dealt with you have all said that you're a strong competitor, and well done for getting that far in the competition. I think that Hollard are lucky to have you. And I do think that we as a TIA team, seeing you on the show, we were lucky to have you on this new season of The Apprentice, because you really held your head high and we could see the strength of your character just on the screen. It was really good. It was refreshing. I'm using that word a lot, but this was a refreshing episode, and you're a refreshing dude. I think that your input in terms of the group and also the way that you conducted yourself can be an example to many others that have watched that show. So well done, and thank you for being who you are, because that's what I wanted to just mention. This whole episode, I've been dying to tell you that. And I really do think that not only as a competitor, but just as a person, well done, Clement.
Thank you so much.
And Gugu, I'll say the last word for you, but I wanted to say thank you to INSETA just for sponsoring the episode, and also just helping so many young people achieve their dreams through giving them a foundation of learning and skills development, because it is needed, and we see that need in our industry. And I would love to see more and more people join this beautiful industry that we so love. So to the next episode, I guess I'll see you all next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.